Welcome to today's Somerset Business Success Strategies video blog posting. Today's posting is titled, What Do You Value? And really what we're going to talk about is the role of values in an organization. And I believe that it's very difficult, if not impossible, to create happiness, sustainable happiness for all of the stakeholders of an organization without a well-defined value system that includes a justice system to take care of rules violations. If you look back over the history of recorded civilization, there's never been a successful civilization that didn't have laws and law enforcement. And organizations are no different. If you want to be successful, you need to have both of those. Now, when we approach values, we like to approach it as really looking at two different buckets of values. Rather than just having a list of organizational values, having two lists of organizational values. The first list I call the what we won't stand for list. And then the second list is the what we stand for list. The reason why it's very important to have these two different lists is because your criminal justice system for value violations is going to be completely different between these two lists, and that's why you want to have you want to be able to communicate them separately so that people understand the rules of engagement with respect to those values. If you have a what we won't stand for rule violated, really the only possible consequence is immediate termination, whether it's a team member or whether it's a supplier in your value chain. There's no real question about what has to be done if one of these rules are violated, and that's why we like to separately state these. These are what we would just refer to as the general table stakes that it takes to be an employee or a vendor in a value chain: honesty, integrity, ethical business behavior, these types of things. Now, with that termination, it does need to be handled compassionately, and it needs to be directed at the behavior of the rules violation as opposed to the particular individual involved. But the termination needs to occur nonetheless. Now, completely separately from the what we won't stand for rules are the what we stand for rules. And these are the rules that organizationally we're working towards. Therefore, we have a completely different justice system for these types of rules. Here, there's plenty of room for coaching and mentoring during the process, training as we remediate potential violations of these values. I typically use something like a 4 strikes and you're out policy for these what we stand for values violations. First strike would usually just be a verbal discussion about the value violation, maybe then followed up with an email so that it's in writing and can be documented. Second violation might be a written formal memo that the team member or vendor would sign acknowledging having violated the particular value. And then lastly, or thirdly, a third violation of the value set might result in some type of probationary period that would be appropriate based on the facts and circumstances. And then and only then, upon a fourth violation of that value, would a termination of employment or for a vendor in your supply chain occur. Typical kinds of values that you might see in a what we stand for value list would be things like determination, persistence, competitive greatness, which is really being at your best when your best is needed, and then lastly, teamwork, things like that. So that's just a general discussion of organizational values, the role that values play, why they're so important, and we would encourage feedback from you on what your values are. What do you value? How does your organization approach values, value violations, and all of these possible scenarios? And we appreciate your participation in our blog. Thank you.